So there I am, standing at the front of a conference room full of my coworkers, my boss, and three people from upper management I have never spoken to in my life. And behind me, on a 70-inch screen, is my browser history. Not my slides, not the quarterly report, not anything professional. My browser history, LinkedIn job searches, Glassdoor reviews, a tab that said, and I need you to understand that this was visible to every single person in that room. Is it normal to hate your job at 29? I want you to picture my face in that moment. Actually, you don't have to, because this is exactly the face I made. Let me back up. It was a Tuesday, a regular, unremarkable, nothing special Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday that has absolutely no business being this life-altering. I had been quietly job hunting for about 3 weeks at this point. And when I say quietly, I mean nobody knew. Not my friends, not my family, definitely not my coworkers. I wasn't even fully committed to leaving. I was just looking, browsing, keeping my options open, the way you window shop without planning to buy anything. Except my browser looked like a man who was very much planning to buy something. I had Indeed tabs, Glassdoor tabs, a tab with the salary negotiation guide I had bookmarked 3 different times. I had a cover letter document on my desktop called Final V3, use this one, which if you know, you know. So that Tuesday morning, my boss Jessica Miller sent a message to the team. All hands presentation, end of day, quarterly update. She needs someone to lead it. Now, Jessica is the kind of boss who doesn't really ask. She announces. Very calm, very composed. Navy blue jacket. The same unreadable expression whether she's giving you good news or bad news. You never fully know where you stand with Jessica, and honestly, that keeps everyone on their toes. Mark, who sits 2 desks from me, glasses, perpetually unbothered, looks over and goes, big opportunity for you, man. He meant it as encouragement. In hindsight, Mark had no idea how right he was in the worst possible way. I said sure, pulled up my slides, spent about 40 minutes putting together what I genuinely thought was a solid presentation. And then I walked into that conference room with my laptop, my confidence, and approximately 11 browser tabs that I completely forgot to close. The first 10 minutes were actually going well. Like, genuinely well. I was hitting my points. Jessica was nodding. The team was engaged. There were 2 people from another department I didn't recognize, and even they looked interested. I was feeling good. I was in my zone. And then someone asked me to pull up the reference document from last quarter. Simple request. I've done it 100 times. All I had to do was Alt-Tab to my browser, find the document, and share it. What I actually did was Alt-Tab directly into chaos. The browser opened full screen. And before I could even process what was happening, I watched my job search history get projected onto a 70-inch display in crisp, clear, high definition. The tabs were all visible at the top. Every single one. LinkedIn, Indeed. Then one that said, how to explain leaving a job after 2 years. Then, and this is the one that really got people, remote jobs that pay well, no experience. I want to be very clear. I have experience. That tab was open because I was reading an article. The context does not matter because nobody in that room was reading context. They were reading tabs. I closed the browser in approximately half a second. But half a second is a very long time when 70 inches of screen real estate is involved. The room went quiet. Not the polite kind of quiet. The specific kind of quiet that happens when everyone sees something they weren't supposed to see and nobody knows what to do with it. I watched it happen in slow motion. The woman 2 seats from Mark covered her mouth. Mark himself took off his glasses and started cleaning them, which is what Mark does when he needs a moment. One of the upper management guys looked at the ceiling. Jessica blinked once and said nothing. I finished the presentation. I know, but what was I supposed to do? Fold, pack up my laptop, and walk out? I had 12 slides left, and the only thing standing between me and total humiliation was the possibility that I could somehow get through the rest of this with my dignity partially intact. So I kept going. Voice steady, smile in place, completely hollow on the inside. The energy in that room for the remaining slides was something I cannot fully describe. People were trying. They were asking questions, nodding, doing all the things you do in a professional setting when everyone has silently agreed to pretend something did not happen. But you could feel it. After the meeting ended, the hallway cleared out faster than I have ever seen in my life. People had places to be, very important, very urgent places that were not near me. And then Jessica appeared at my shoulder and said, calmly, always calmly, Daniel, do you have a minute? For words. Some people fear public speaking. Some people fear failure. I now fear those 4 words more than anything else on this earth. We sat down, and Jessica looked at me the way she always does, measured, unreadable, and said, is there anything you want to talk about regarding your role here? She didn't yell. She didn't even reference the screen directly. She just asked that question and let it sit in the air between us. And I did what any reasonable professional would do. I said, I'm always open to growth conversations. Here is the thing, though. That conversation with Jessica, the one I've been dreading, the one I would have never started on my own, actually went somewhere real. We talked about my workload. We talked about where I saw myself. She said some things that surprised me. I said some things that surprised me. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest in a way our conversations had never been before. Sometimes the universe forces the conversation you've been too scared to have. Mark caught me afterward and said, hey man, everyone forgets to close tabs sometimes, which is maybe the kindest and also least accurate thing anyone has ever said to me. Look, I'm not saying go leave your browser history open in front of your entire company. I'm not recommending this strategy. But if you have been avoiding a hard conversation about where you are in your career, about what you actually want, about whether the place you're at is the place you're supposed to stay, maybe you don't need a 70-inch screen to force it. Maybe you just need to start the conversation yourself, before the tab does it for you. If this story hit a little too close to home, like and subscribe because clearly we're the same kind of person. Drop your most embarrassing work moment in the comments. I promise mine is worse.